Welcome to Middlesex Moments from Middlesex Community College in Middletown. I'm Steve Minkler, the college CEO, actually speaking to you from my home as I record this edition of Middlesex Moments. It's at a time when our main campus, our Meriden Center, and all instructional sites are closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic that is sweeping across our community, our nation, and our world. I am happy to say, however, that the college is open for business. We are offering all of our courses in online format, and we have all of our enrollment and learning support services also available online. And speaking to me from their homes, respectively, are Melissa Behney, who's Director of Library and Learning Commons Services. Thank you for joining us, Melissa.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Steve.
And also joining us from her home is Lisa Gugliotti, who's the Digital Services Librarian at the college. And thanks for joining us also, Lisa.
Thanks for having me.
So, Melissa, now that the college is in a fully online state, what sorts of services are available at our library and also our general learning commons, which encompasses much more than just the library?
We're proud of the Learning Commons team and their quick transition to supporting the campus community to fully online during a short time. And just to explain a little bit, the Learning Commons is really a hub. It's a place where information in a variety of formats, people, and services come together to assist students with completing their academic work, whether it's finding books and articles through the library for writing a paper, and then working with a tutor in the Academic Success Center to fine-tune that paper, or accessing course materials online and meeting with a librarian through Blackboard with course-specific questions. We're here to support student learning. So some of the things that we have done in the transition is distance learning staff worked with faculty first to convert their classes to fully online in Blackboard for those classes that weren't already online. And then the distance learning team also offered workshops for students who weren't familiar necessarily with using Blackboard. They offered the Getting Started with Blackboard courses and training sessions. Then our Academic Success Center, which provides tutoring for the sciences, math, and English, transitioned in just over our spring break from a pretty much fully on-ground suite of services to fully online. And to me, that's just amazing. So now we have tutoring by appointment or drop-in through Microsoft Teams, and students can also submit a paper through Blackboard and have it reviewed and returned to them. The Academic Success Center has done a total of 178 hours of tutoring since we returned from spring break, and an additional 24 essays that have been reviewed through Blackboard.
That's absolutely amazing to keep that level of service just continuous, even despite all this change. I mean, it's I just give all of you in the Learning Commons a big round of applause for all the work you've been able to do.
It's been challenging, but exciting.
We do have to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, more about Middlesex Community College's Learning Commons services provided fully online with my guests Melissa Behney and Lisa Gugliotti. You're listening to Middlesex Moments from Middlesex Community College.
What is Learning Commons?
I don't know, maybe we should check.
We need to do some of our assignments together. Maybe they have a group study area. I don't see any study rooms. Maybe they're in the back.
Let's go look. Whoa, that's a lot of DVDs.
We can reserve study space at the front desk.
Hi.
Hi, can we book a study room?
Sure, I can book the room for you. What project are you working on?
It's a group project for a psychology class.
Do you have the assignment sheet?
My professor said it's on Blackboard, but we don't know how to get that.
No, do you want to talk to the distance learning staff? They can get you started with Blackboard.
Sure.
Hi, is this distance learning?
Yes, hi. How may I help you?
We need to access our assignment on Blackboard, but we don't know how.
Oh, it's easy. You just have to go to my.comnet.edu and log in with your NetID and password.
I used my comment to check my financial aid once, but I forgot my password since.
Well, that's okay. We can reset that for you today.
That would be great.
Okay, well, why don't you come over to this computer and I can help you. You go to my.comnet.edu, log on with your NetID and password. Then click on the Blackboard icon and you will see your course in the course list. Click on the course you want and you can find your assignment sheet there.
Now we have the assignment from the professor.
Now we can ask librarian what she can do to help us.
Good idea.
It says you need to write a research paper using 3 peer-reviewed journal articles. Have you chosen a topic yet?
I'm interested in human intelligence.
What about personality? That's more interesting. Thank you for showing us how to access the database at home.
You're welcome, and you can always make an appointment with a librarian if you need more research help.
Our professor mentioned something about tutoring. Is that here?
Oh, you should check out the Academic Success Center. They have tutors for lots of subjects.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, is this where we go for tutoring?
Yes, welcome to the Academic Success Center. What do you need a tutor for?
I need someone to help me with my writing.
Okay.
I could really use some help with math right now.
Okay. I'll be right with you. We have a tutor right over here. This is Janice. And she's gonna help you.
Hi. Nice to meet you. You guys can take a seat.
If you come with me, I have the math tutor over here.
Thank you.
Tutor hours. Christian needs help with math.
Hi,
Please
my
meet you,
name is
Christian.
Christian. Just have a seat.
The library is about research assistance and has great spaces for getting work done.
Yeah, this math test is going to be a breeze.
It's really great that we know we need to contact distance learning for Blackboard help.
Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College. I'm Steve Minkler, together with my guests Melissa Behney and Lisa Gugliotti from the Learning Commons at Middlesex Community College. Before the break, we were talking about the myriad of services that the Learning Commons provides now in online format since the college campus is closed due to COVID-19. So Lisa Gugliotti, who's our digital systems librarian at the Middlesex Community College, now that the college is in a fully online state, what sorts of services are available at our library?
Well, the first thing we wanted to do is be accessible to students. So we immediately set up a chat service, and we have a chat service the same time of day that we would have it normally on campus, which is Monday through Thursday, 8 to 8, and Friday, 8 to 4. So far, we've had about 48 reference chats. And you can get to a chat by going to mxcc.edu/library. We've also updated our LibGuides, library guides, which are instructional guides for off-campus use. So we made sure those were updated, and they have been heavily accessed. In the last month, we have 152 guides, and they've been viewed over 6,000 times. And you can get to those LibGuides at mxcc.libguides.com/library. We also offer research consultations via WebEx or chat. And we also have Way, my amazing coworker, is embedded in 4 ongoing classes. We also have information literacy instruction in virtual classrooms right now. And Way, again, has also provided information literacy instruction for over 11 classes, I think 11 or 12 classes using WebEx. We also had to go through a lot of information, organize and market new resources that became available for free during COVID-19. And we've organized that into a LibGuide that you can access anytime, and that's at mxcc.libguides.com/COVID-19. There's a lot there, a lot of free resources that are going to be available by publishers during this time. We're trying to reach who we're servicing, so we are trying to offer additional educational sessions like lunch and learns, where we're covering different topics in 30 minutes or less, and open library forums where students can access a librarian. And all of these services and products can be also available at mxcc.libguides.com/LC virtual. That website has incorporated all of the Learning Commons products and services we're offering remotely right now.
But Melissa, there's really no secret here that libraries have been going fully digital for a number of years now, right? And that's kind of just continues that trend since we're all at home doing work and school from home.
Right, yes. Library resources really started moving online in the 1990s. They have continued to transition to online format, and we're really lucky living here in Connecticut because we have a number of resources provided by the Connecticut State Library, electronic resources or online resources. They provide a suite of resources to academic libraries, to public libraries, and to school libraries. And in fact, right now, they are offering free access to ebooks and audiobooks for Connecticut residents, even without a library card. If you visit researchatct.org, you can get to the Connecticut State Library resources.
Well, that sounds fantastic. And now, if I were a student or a faculty member at Middlesex Community College, do I have access to resources at other community colleges or universities in the state?
You do. We're really fortunate again here in Connecticut because we have the Connecticut State Colleges and University System, which is comprised of all the community colleges and the Connecticut State University campuses. The libraries work together. We share a library system, and we also will do interlibrary loan for things like electronic journal articles, even now when we're closed down. And we work together on things like licensing electronic resources together and trying to negotiate not only better prices, but better access terms for students and faculty.
So Lisa Gugliotti, who's our digital systems librarian at the Middlesex Community College, I know the month of April features National Library Week, which is the week of April 20th. And I understand because of libraries and colleges needing to be closed due to COVID restrictions, that the theme of this year's National Library Week got adapted a little bit. Can you talk a little about that?
Yes. Originally, the theme for this year's National Library Week was Find Your Place at the Library. But since a lot of the libraries have been shut down, ALA has changed the theme and updated it to Find the Library at Your Place. And really, National Library Week is about promoting libraries, their services, and also to promote goodwill towards libraries. And even virtually, you can access many of the resources from home. So it's quite an apropos theme, I think.
Now, are you aware of some of the services that the public libraries are providing at this time?
Yes. For example, the library I used to work for, which is Henry Carter Hall Library in Clinton, is offering video yoga classes, virtual yoga classes, so you can connect and even watch it later if you want and get some exercise. They're streaming movies. They're trying to keep the public engaged and informed with correct information, like mental health resources. And you can also get, if you didn't have time to get a library card before the shutdown, you can still access, for example, Russell Library in Middletown and Meriden Public Library. Both have ways to get library cards remotely. If you email them or even leave them a message, Russell will give you a card number, which is the key to access a lot of things virtually, like movies. You can stream movies, you can download ebooks, audiobooks, and in the future, get amazing things like discount passes to museums and other fun places. I mean, personally, I've saved maybe, I would say $2,000 a year on using my library resources. I think my house would be filled with books if I didn't have access to libraries.
True.
So Russell Library, you can go to their website, russelllibrary.org, or Meriden Public Library is meridenlibrary.org. And I bring those up because we have campuses in both of those towns.
So it's really great that Middlesex Community College has such a close relationship with the public libraries, both in Middletown and Meriden and the other towns that surround us. And it really speaks to the tradition we have in this country of having free public libraries available to us, as well as academic libraries. And it's kind of cool that both have really transformed themselves to be the hub of their towns or their campuses. And one of the things, Melissa, that I've noticed since fully going to a Learning Commons co-location in one building is the students' reaction. This is just such a vibrant place and a place they love to be. And I'm curious what you've seen among students who come into the Learning Commons and seeking the help of you and your colleagues.
I love seeing students come into the Learning Commons, and I miss being there and having them come in. It's great to see people walk through the door, to walk around and be curious about what's available, and to kind of find their place in the library and Learning Commons. We have such beautiful views of the hills around Middletown and great places to just sit and work and read. And it's always interesting to hear what students have to say when they come in. They'll walk around, they'll be surprised that we actually have group study rooms, or maybe they're surprised that we have a popular or leisure reading collection. Students don't always know at first that the Academic Success Center is right there. And we try to provide a warm and welcoming environment, as well as a place where people can get some work done. But it's my favorite part of my job is seeing the students come in.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And Lisa, you're actually relatively new to Middlesex. You joined us in August. Actually, Melissa, also relatively new to us, but being the newer of the two of you, Lisa, what's been sort of your reaction to coming into a new professional home for yourself?
I love it. It was a great transition from a public library. I work with an amazing team. They're friendly, they're resourceful, they're professional. They have been a great guide in learning the new facility and getting the background. I love working with this faculty and the students. They're very eager to learn. They're friendly. I try to be approachable and be proactive and see if there's anything that I can help them with. That's part of the excitement of being a librarian. You never really know what you're going to be asked, so you have to be prepared for every kind of question. I really enjoy it here, and even the way we transitioned to online services without a beat. We worked really hard. My team was collaborative. We had a lot of great ideas. We put them into place very quickly. It's a really great place to work.
And we're very glad that you're with us. Ladies, time for another quick break here. When we come back, more about the Learning Commons at Middlesex Community College and really what libraries do as sort of equalizers in our society. You're listening to Middlesex Moments from Middlesex Community College.
Every education is a good education, and you can't take any of that for granted. What I learned about community colleges is that the community part is just as important as the college part. And while I went to community college in an attempt to lift myself up, what I found was that I was surrounded by people and we were lifting each other up.
Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College. I'm Steve Minkler, together with my guests Melissa Behney and Lisa Gugliotti, who are both with our Learning Commons at the college, and we've been talking about the library services. Both of them are librarians by trade. We recognized National Library Week, the week of April 20th, and we've talked about how the college has converted all of its instructional services and its courses to online format during the time of COVID-19. And I think part of where things seem to be going in education is the open access movement. And Melissa, I know you have been a leader in this as well as all of your colleagues have been in what are called open educational resources. So maybe if you could tell our audience a little more about what OER is and what advantages that brings to our faculty and our students.
Sure. So the open access movement has been what I think is one of the really exciting and interesting things that's happened in libraries and education in the past 20 or 25 years. It started with academic libraries, particularly at publicly funded institutions, pushing back against the high cost of scholarly journals when much of that scholarly output was being produced by faculty at public higher education institutions. So why should the university help to fund the research and then pay for the published results? And that's what's led to a whole new area in our field. And in 2013, under the Obama administration, it resulted in a memorandum that directed federal agencies with more than $1 million in R&D expenditures to develop plans to make the results of federally funded research freely available to the public, to those individuals who paid for that research, generally within 1 year of publication. And that's why you now found so many scientific articles and now other articles available to read for free. So if I go to a resource about PubMed and I'm interested in knowing more about a medical condition that I have, I can get that research for free now. And that movement ultimately led to the development of open educational resources and the sharing and delivery of free educational content. And that's probably the newest and most interesting growth area for us. There are places like Rice University in Texas and University of Minnesota that are real leaders in this particular field. And it means that for faculty and courses that adopt open educational resources, it's possible for a student to have access to their course materials at no additional cost to them.
So the cost of higher education already is fairly pricey, and this brings some of that cost down so students don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on books.
Exactly. And, I think for us, community college is already one of the more affordable avenues for access to higher education. And if we can add open educational resources into the mix, it really helps to make that, as our mission statement says, high quality, affordable, and accessible educational experience there for students.
So if you think of that as a way of actually distributing those materials digitally, because these are all materials that are generated now in the way that we work today, providing this material online, Lisa, I would have to think that your job title of it as a digital systems librarian comes into play. And I know at Middlesex we have a small team, so it's sort of everybody does a little bit of everything. But what makes sort of your role and your background unique as a digital systems librarian?
I think that being a librarian today requires very strong technical skills. I mean, there's so much information online. A lot of the things you're doing with, your whoever you're serving, whether it's the public, the students, the faculty, you're pointing them to how to use online information correctly. So I think my IT background was a perfect fit I love libraries. I'm technical. I think it was a perfect merging. And if you're not technical, I think it would be very difficult to be a librarian today.
No, but I would agree with Lisa. You really have to have strong technology skills. The thing that people so often say to me is, gee, it must be nice to sit around and read books all day. But that's not what librarians do.
Right.
We wish we had time to read books.
I think I've been around librarians long enough to know never to ask that question.
That's right.
But if you think about the history of libraries, and, of course, starting with being a repository of printed materials, which hundreds of years ago were a special, unique thing. People didn't have access to that. What does it mean to you as librarians to give a patron a library card to say, this is really unlocking a whole world to you? What does that mean to you, Melissa?
Sure. Well, I started using the public library as a preschool child, and I remember that I had to actually be able to print my name before I could get my library card. So that was a big deal for me. My mom and I would walk downtown and sometimes to do errands and sometimes stop at the library. So when I finally got to take out a book, that was special. And my favorite book was Maurice Sendak's Where the Wild Things Are. Mm-hmm. But the library's always been a place where I could get access to books and information, both for my own enjoyment and education, and for my schoolwork, for my personal interest, and regardless of where I came from or how much money I had. And I think that's one of the things that libraries and the American Library Association and community colleges are really about, right? It's about unlocking that access, kind of equalizing and making those opportunities available to everyone. And it's one of the reasons that I think I became a librarian and why I really enjoy working in libraries.
So Lisa, do you have a similar story, maybe some early memories of using the library when you were younger? And, did that help propel you into choosing librarianship as a career?
It did. Yes, I've always loved libraries ever since I was little. I grew up in a family, like many people, with limited resources. They're limited income, and also they were immigrants. So I had the opportunity to go to my library to get access to free resources. And it was an amazing place where you could just take things home for free. And at the time, I think I was limited to 6 books. There was an actual limit of checkouts for children, I think. Anyway, I loved libraries ever since then. And it's always, to me, it's about equal access to educate yourself for autodidacts. And it's been about the freedom to access information regardless of your background, your socioeconomic status, your race, your sexual preference, your age. It's about free access in a democracy. I think it's very important. Knowledge is power. And, hundreds of years ago, when only the very wealthy could access books, those kinds of things are really important to me, to keep access to information available to society. I feel strongly about it.
And it is amazing to think that today, with digital technology, that in the palm of your hand, you can hold all of the knowledge ever recorded in human history, just how democratizing that is in many ways. So Lisa first, and then I'll ask Melissa, what do you see the libraries or learning commons of the future being like? Let's say if you're thinking 10 or 20 years ahead, what will somebody find in the learning commons of the future?
I think that libraries are always going to be a community hub. And I think librarians keep repurposing the space to evolve along with how people use the libraries. For example, we get rid of reference stacks because they're easily accessible through your library card, and maybe you make a maker space, or you make a business resource center. You read your community and you figure out what they need, and you try to meet their demands with the library space. So I think, it's good to keep a pulse on what the community wants from their libraries and be willing to change along with their needs.
Almost like any entity, if you don't change to go with the times or what people are looking for, you're going to be out of business pretty soon.
Exactly. People say, why do you need libraries? Why do you need librarians? We help so many people. The door count where at my last job was 5,000 people a week. A lot of those people can access information, but we're there to help them access the correct information. We're there to help them get a job, access housing sometimes, all sorts of things. We're here to help them. It's about helping your community find the correct information. So I don't think those skills are going to be useless in the future. Even if you have all the information in the world at your fingertips, you still need somebody to guide you and point you in the right direction.
And Melissa, how about you? What does the learning commons of the future look like to you?
Sure. I think it looks like a very vibrant, still looks like a very vibrant hub of the community. It's a place where people not only access information, but I think that they will be creating content, repurposing information, incorporating it with technology. And the folks in the Learning Commons will be there to facilitate that. So whether it's interacting with a virtual anatomy and physiology model, or actually creating some kind of digital content that can be published and stored and repurposed, I think it's going to be that continuation of democratization of higher education and content curation.
Well, that's amazing. It's amazing to see how libraries and learning commons have changed, certainly in my lifetime, but what it would look like for my grandchildren in the future. I would But as you said, to kind of keeping that democratization of information and being a community center is important to libraries. So I want to thank both of you, Melissa Behney, Director of Library and Learning Commons Services, and Lisa Gugliotti, Digital Systems Librarian at Middlesex Community College, for joining me today in Middlesex Moments. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Steve.
And many thanks to you, our listeners, for joining us for another edition of Middlesex Moments. As always, you can visit us online 24/7 at mxcc.edu. And as soon as we can lift the COVID-19 restrictions, we do hope that you visit us at our main campus at 100 Training Hill Road in Middletown, or at our Meriden Center located at Platt High School. For everyone at Middlesex Community College, I'm Steve Minkler. Please be safe and be well.